Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're digging into a question that seems so simple on the surface, but wow, is it packed with important details? It's something that affects safety and accessibility in every single building we use. What is the correct height for a handrail? You might be surprised, but this is the #1 question we hear from the pros, from architects to contractors to building owners. And it makes sense, because if you get this detail wrong, you're looking at failed inspections, expensive rework, and most importantly, some serious safety hazards. So today, we are going to get it right. So, what's the magic number? Well, the short answer is, it depends. But it all starts with understanding one absolutely crucial distinction. And trust me, if you get this one thing wrong, nothing else you do is going to matter. And here it is. This is the #1 source of confusion, hands down. Are we talking about a handrail or are we talking about a guard? They might look alike, but in the eyes of the building code, they have completely different jobs to do. Okay, so a handrail is for grasping. It's there to give you stability and support as you go up and down the stairs. A guard, on the other hand, is just a barrier. Its only job is to prevent you from falling off an open edge. So think of it this way. One is for your hand, the other is for your whole body. And this visual right here, this absolutely nails the most common code violation we see out there. A tall 42-inch guard is fantastic for fall protection, for sure, but it's just too high to be a functional handrail. You can't really rely on it for balance if you stumble, which is exactly why the code says you can't use it as one. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the actual numbers. We're going to decode what I like to call the magic window of height that applies across all the different building codes here in the United States. So the magic starts right here at 34 inches. For pretty much any kind of stair, whether it's commercial, in your house, or one that needs to be ADA accessible, the top of the handrail cannot be any lower than 34 inches from the front edge of the stair tread. And it can't be any higher than 38 inches. And that right there creates this critical 4-inch window for compliance. Your handrail has to live somewhere between 34 and 38 inches. That's the zone. This table does a great job of showing how that 34 to 38-inch window really is the great unifier across all the major codes. But, and this is a big but, look closely at the other rules. See how commercial and ADA stairs need those extensions at the top and bottom, but residential stairs usually don't? So same height, but very different rules. So what's the solution to that guardrail problem we talked about earlier? Well, it's actually really simple and kind of elegant. You just provide 2 rails. The 42-inch guard does its job of preventing falls, and then you add a second, totally separate handrail inside of it, placed perfectly within that 34 to 38-inch window. Okay, so we've got homes and offices covered. But the rules shift a little bit when we step into an industrial workplace or when we take a peek at how other countries handle this same issue. Right, so in a workplace that's governed by OSHA, the rules are a bit more lenient. They allow a minimum handrail height of just 30 inches. But, and here's the key takeaway, if that same workplace is also open to the public, the stricter rule always wins. So you have to go with the 34-inch minimum from the building code. And if we look internationally, Canada's rules are actually very, very similar to what we have in the US, with that same basic 34 to 38-inch range. Australia, though, they allow for a slightly higher rail, letting you go up to almost 40 inches. It's a subtle difference, but it's a huge deal for anyone working on international projects. Knowing the numbers is really only half the battle. Measuring correctly and avoiding all the common pitfalls, well, that's what separates a project that passes inspection from one that fails. Okay, listen up, because this is a really crucial point. You must measure straight up, vertically, from the very front edge of the stair. If you measure perpendicular to the slope of the stair, your measurement is going to be wrong. And on a typical stair, that one little mistake can make a perfectly compliant handrail suddenly seem 2 inches too short. And here they are, the top 5 mistakes that inspectors see all the time. We've talked about using the 42-inch guard. But look at these others. Using a wide, flat top rail that you can't actually grip, forgetting the extensions, or installing it so close to the wall that you can't even get your hand around it. These are the little details that'll get you every time. Graspability isn't just a fancy word. It's a life safety requirement with very specific dimensions. A standard round rail has to be between 1¼ and 2 inches in diameter, and that ensures that in an emergency, an average person's hand can actually wrap all the way around it and hold on tight. Okay, we've gone through a lot of codes, a lot of exceptions, and a lot of violations. So after all of that, if you could only remember one thing, one number, to keep your project safe and compliant, what would it be? 36 inches. If you specify a handrail height of 36 inches, you land perfectly in the middle of that 34 to 38 inch window. That single number satisfies the requirements for commercial, residential, workplace, and accessibility codes all at once. It's the universal safe bet.
And there you have it. You know, this knowledge really changes how you see the built world around you. The next time you walk up a flight of stairs, you're not just going to see a railing. You're going to see a story of design, of safety, and of code. You'll know exactly what to look for.